Welcome to another episode of Out of Spec Renew. We could not have started this journey with the YouTube channel without visiting electric classic cars. So today we are in Wales visiting Richard and the ECC team. So let me take you for a tour. All right, Richard, good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Yes, I like the place.
Last time you were up was 2015, was it?
I would say 16.
16.
But
you've not changed a bit, right?
No, just it was a shed with a two-car garage.
It was my home. That was my home garage.
Yeah.
So yeah, we outgrew that.
Yeah.
Let's say.
So you actually went into two different buildings before. Well, yeah, the original building.
I started at my home in 2015, my home workshop. Literally, I just knocked the rallying on the head. Did the British Rally Championship, Historic Rally Championship for 7 years. I had itchy fingers in the garage. I just thought, what project should I do now? I found a crazy guy called Michael Bream over at EV West. Hi, Michael. Who sent me a kit for a VW Beetle, and I thought, right, that'll cover me off for the next few months.
Yeah.
Converted that myself. Did a blog back then, and just people started following that conversion. This is going back before.
I was going to say it shows how old we are.
Oh yeah, yeah. And people started following me on that, and I thought it was nothing more than just a little bit of a project.
Yeah.
And now look what's happened. It's a hobby that's got out of control, Jerome.
So you got about, say, 15 cars just here today? Or?
Yeah, full capacity. We've got 16 cars in the workshop at any one time. We've got 14 cars. I think there's one on test out at the moment as well. So yeah, 15, you've nailed it.
Okay. And how many guys in the team?
Presently the team is 13 people, but by the end of this year we'll be up into around about 25, I think.
Wow.
So we're going to expand quite a bit this year.
So you
More
worked
on that later.
Yeah. All right. So let's go through the process. Obviously, you started at your house,
yeah,
and then we're here today with a mad team. So what were the main step in, say, 7 years to end up here?
I mean, so I started with that Beetle back in 2015, 1965 little Beetle called Bert. It's owned by a lovely couple up in Scotland. Lovely car that was. And then as I was finishing off that car, I had a lovely gentleman who wanted a Porsche 911 converted to electric, a Targa. So that was the second one. I thought, well, okay. I just did this as a project for myself.
So it was not a business yet? No.
Nope. No. Didn't plan it as a business whatsoever. But isn't that nice though? Your hobby turns into or your passion turns into a hobby, turns into a business. And it just happened. I mean, so I started on this 911 for this lovely guy, Henry. It was a silver Targa. That was our second car. First one that we actually done specifically to, build for a customer, if you like, because the first one I was just going to keep, but then somebody wanted to buy it. So then during the build of that 911, we started buying bits and pieces off a Porsche specialist, as you do. And that Porsche specialist started getting a little bit interested as to what we were doing. And then he thought, well, I don't think I'll do my 911, but I got a Range Rover in the shed. I could do with that being converted to electric. So that then turned into within 12 months, I had my first car that I converted to myself as a project, to having a car for a customer, to having a little bit of a waiting list. And you drove that Range Rover.
Yes, I did.
That was the last time you came up.
Yeah.
So that was the third car we converted, was that Range Rover.
Yeah.
So, and that's how it started. It just evolved from then. And then I got a mate of mine to start helping me out on a part-time basis. And then I had Sophia join the team to help run the admin and the office and the invoicing, so I could play with the toys in the workshop and the tools. Yeah. And then within about 2 years, we outgrew working in the workshop at home, which is a 2-bay workshop, to needing another premises. So we kind of split ourselves between 2 premises. And then we started looking for a big place, which was this. So we moved in here 5 years ago.
And you got lucky because you're not too far from where the previous place was.
Yeah, this is in Mid Wales, and it's weird. People say, being in Mid Wales, is that not a problem? But really, this is the centre for the rallying industry in the UK, because Banbury is like Formula One. That's where Formula One is, down Oxford area, Banbury, etc. But around here, is great for rallying, which is what I grew up in. So you got fantastic fabricators, great mechanics, spray shops. It's a good motor industry or niche motor industry around this area. So we found this place 5 years ago, and when I moved in, I was a little bit like, oh, we're never going to fill this place. 6 months later, we were full. So yeah, we've been in here for 5 years, and as I said earlier, we're going to be expanding 50% bigger this year by going that way.
So you're pushing this wall.
Yeah, that wall is going to come down. We're going to go that way by 50%. Mezzanine floor is going to go in, and then we're going to go that way a little bit more because we need to increase the bandwidth. We've got 65 cars in the order book to build.
Yeah.
So we need to increase the bandwidth a little bit, get more cars through the door, but also expand the kits side of the business, which is a side of the business which is really taking off for us at the moment.
Okay. And sending kits abroad just gives you a global reach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's very scalable. I mean, people have confidence in knowing that they're going to get a good kit because we also do the conversions as well. So they know that we've got the experience and know what we're talking about. We don't just design a kit, but we actually drive these things and convert them for customers. And we have around about 70 or 80 cars already out there in the real world being used by customers from way back, like this one here. This is one of the earlier ones. This is 2018. So this has been used as a family car now for some years, and it's just come back to us. It's still in really good nick, and it's come back for us for a bit of a checkup, really. Yeah. And this happens quite a bit. So we get cars back that we have built some years ago just to check them out, make sure everything's good, and do any upgrades as well. We have a little bit of a winter upgrade program going because winter in the UK is when classic cars normally go into hibernation because there's salt on the road, and it's not nice to have salt on classic cars. So that's when they phone us up to say, hey, can we have faster charging? Can we have better energy density batteries, more power? I never want to say no to more power. So yeah, this one has come back for a little bit of a checkup, and all is good. The batteries were perfectly balanced still. It had a HPEVs motor in the back. So the only problem I found with the HPEVs motors in the back, if you come around here, you'll see what I mean. So this is a 1303 VW Beetle with a 48 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is quite a big battery pack. It's a really good range, but this is the problem with the HPEVs motors in our sort of climate. See, they go a little bit rusty with the paint. So great motors, but not ideal for our UK climate, if you like. So, but having said that, that went in 2018, and it's still in there.
Still pretty good, and it's just a cosmetic issue, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we have cars that we've had converted in the past, and everything in this workshop now are new conversions. Okay. So we've got the process normally starts down there, really, the dirty end of the workshop, if you like. So that's where we drop out the dirty, smelly stuff. The engine, the gearbox, the fuel tank, all the stuff we don't need, the exhaust, etc., gets stripped out down there. Before that process, really, we corner weight it. It's really important to corner weight the car to know what we're working with. See where the weight distribution is. Then we strip it all out, all the bits that we don't need, corner weight it again. So then we can figure out where we can put the battery packs, how big a battery pack can you put in the front, etc., to get either the same weight distribution or better. If there's a potential to optimize and enhance and improve the car, we will. And weight distribution is one of them. So we'll then, from that second corner weighting session, we'll then have a team meeting. So I've got a head of EV powertrain, a head of fabrication, a head of mechanics. So we'll have along with John, who is the customer liaison guy, that team then will have a meeting and discuss what we can do to meet the customer's requirements. Because if it's a car we've never done before, we can't say, oh, it's going to get 200 mile range. Oh, it's going to get 0
don't really know.
We don't know. Yeah. We've got an idea based off our experience, but we don't really know. So that's when we have that crunch meeting to say, right, now we know what we're playing with and the space and the weight constraints. This is what we're going to do, and then agree that remit with the customer and dive in.
Yeah. So we'll go back to the customer journey in a minute, but let's go back to the process. So the cars arrive as a rolling cars, or maybe sometime a car without the drivetrain.
Sometimes they're coming like that. Yep.
So you strip it out of everything you don't need, and maybe you can repurpose some of it.
Yep.
Yeah. And then what's the next step?
Well, just before we get into that, one of the first discussions we'll have is the mild or wild discussion.
Yes.
So, do you want to have mild performance, similar to the performance of the original car, like these two down here, for instance, this Mercedes and this Triumph Vitesse? They're handling-wise were never fantastic cars. Okay. The powertrain in the 190 SL was a little bit asthmatic, let's say. So we want to keep the power of these two around about the same, if not a little bit more, let's say a bit more pokey, but not crazy. So these are more on the mild performance side of things. And then the wild is like, okay, you've got a Ferrari Testarossa. Okay, well, that was a good handling car. We can put some crazy power in that if you want. And when they say, yes, I'm a very happy man. So I'm more on the wild side of power. But mild, we do probably about 50% of our builds are on the mild performance. So this is a beautiful 190 SL. It had a 4-cylinder engine in the front. So we're putting a motor in the front there through a gear reduction unit right the way to the rear diff. And then we've got a battery pack that's going to go in here and another battery pack up front to balance it all out. Very similar, in fact, to the Triumph. This is kind of like, before and after you're seeing here. This has just come back from the restoration shop. We're starting on the EV conversion. This has finished its journey. Most of the cars that come in are already pre-restored, by the way. We don't do restorations. So this is done driving. This is in test drive mode at the moment, where we always put at least 500 miles on any car we build, sometimes more, just to make sure that all the niggles are done, not just with the EV drivetrain, but with the classic car itself. Because
do you source cars to be converted for customers? No.
We check cars out for customers. So we have certain customers like this 912 here. They'll have this restored themselves.Ey'll bring it to us, and we'll convert it to electric. But then you'll have another person like that black 911 down there. And she knew what car she wanted, but she didn't have any experience with 911s. She wanted a black 911 like that, converted to electric, etc., but no experience. So we kind of recommended a supplier. They're good, trusted 911 specialists. Checked the car out, signed it off if you like, and said, that's a good one. And then she bought it and then sent it to us. So we help them on the journey, but we don't take the risk or the the ownership of having to buy that car ourselves, convert it, and then sell it to the customer at the end. So we're a service-based company rather than a product-based in that respect. We don't sell finished cars, although we are now partnering up with a company called Bbanzhou-electric, who are going to be selling finished electric converted cars built by us. So there's a Testarossa there, and that Testarossa there, that's theirs. So we're building them. They're going to then put them in their showroom, which is going to be around about Oxford somewhere, and then they're going to be just allowing people to come and test drive these cars and then buy them out the showroom.
Nice, fantastic, It is definitely the future for classic cars and classic car market is to offer complete turnkey cars.
I mean, people can then test drive them. I mean, that third Testarossa we got to convert over there, he was a bit on the fence until he came and test drove this one. And literally within about 5 minutes of him driving it, in fact, it's less than that. He just said, okay, when can I bring it up? Can I bring it up on Friday, please? So, he was completely convinced after a test drive. And that's, I think, for me, one of the most important things about converting cars to electric for clients is come test drive them, experience it before you commit. Because it's a big commitment. If you're going to be taking a Ferrari engine out of a Testarossa, you want to be sure that you're going down the right path. So it's really important for us to make sure that the customers are happy with what they're going to get at the end, manage their expectations, and test drive.
So talking about this particular case, the owner was convinced in 5 minutes. Now, how long is it going to take for him to actually drive the car now? How long is the process?
How long is the process? That depends on whether or not it's a car we've converted before. That 190 SL, never converted a 190 SL before. That can be a 12-month, 18-month process. Bear in mind, we've got a waiting list as well, so you have to add that on. So that's a 12 to 18-month process for us to convert a car we've never done before. If it's a 911 or actually a 912, or like this Land Rover Defender behind you here, we've got a kit that we've developed over the many years and many Land Rover Defenders that we've converted, that we know we can probably convert a Land Rover Defender with our eyes closed, Jerome. That's how many of these we've done now. So 2016 was the first Defender we ever did. So if it's a kit that we've got designs for and we've done before, I think the fastest we've ever converted a car is a day. We did a VW Beetle in a day. Have a look on our YouTube channel. There's an episode there called Convert a Car to Electric in a Day. It was a crazy day. You had 6 guys in a Beetle at the same time all working together. It was high stress. I don't want to do that ever again. So the quickest you can do a car is a day. I reckon personally you can do a Fiat 500 in half a day, but the guys, you know, if I gave them that challenge, they'll probably strangle them. But, you know, I think most of the cars that we convert, bear in mind we're spinning plates, so we're always like working on this one, working on that one, and working on that one tomorrow. So a Land Rover Defender normally can sail through the workshop in, say, a few months, right the way to the other side of the spectrum, which is a car we've never done before, which is about 18 months, I'd say.
All right. Going back to the conversion process, so let's say you have the kit, you removed everything that you don't need. Because your systems are bolt-on, plug-in, it's relatively straightforward for a mechanic that knows what he's doing, how classic cars work, and also with train with high voltage systems.
One of the restrictions we have in the UK is you cannot structurally modify, if you like, the chassis or the monocoque of the car, which means that you can't drill holes in it, you can't weld a new bracket on, etc. So that's one of the restrictions we work around. But to the benefit of the rest of the world, that means that our kits are completely bolt-in. We have to, for instance, on this Ferrari Testarossa behind you here, the conversion, the cradle, if you like, that holds the motor and the battery, bolts into the original engine mounts and the subframe bolts, and literally, I think you could probably mechanically fit that all in within a day. But then you've got to do it properly. You've got to strip the car out. You've got to take your time. You've got to respect a car like this. You know, you've got to just take your time to put the kit in properly. So I'd say you're looking at least about a month, start to finish, with a team of a few guys, let's say 2, maybe 3, to convert a car like this to electric. Even though it's a bolt-in kit and everything's there, the wirings and stuff, you still got to do it right.
But to be fair, it's quite a short period of time considering what it would take a shop to design a system and then try to figure exactly what to do. So for a prospective classic car specialist or even a Ferrari specialist, say in America or Australia, they can order your system and within a couple of months have a running car to test. And
if you compare the backs here, you'll see. So, I mean, you've got a petrol one still and a finished electric one parked next to each other. The last time you were up, if you said that we were going to be converting Ferraris, I would have laughed at you. But here we are with 3 Testarossas in the workshop. So that's kind of like what you start with. You know, a flat, or a V12 in a flat configuration. I hate it when people call them a flat 12, because a flat 12 is like a boxer engine, being a Porsche guy, and that's not a boxer engine. So it's a V12 in a flat configuration over the gearbox, and that's taken up a lot of space in there. But also, your weight is quite far back. So when we designed the conversion for this one next to us, I wanted to take the opportunity to try to improve the weight distribution by moving things a little bit further forward, but keeping the weight the same. And that's another important point. All our conversions, usually the weight is neutral, as in the same as when it was petrol, or a worst case scenario, the weight of a small child additional on top, if you know what I mean. But this is, you know, look at the amount of space you've got now. You know, this is twice the power, the same weight, better weight distribution, because all your weight now is in front of the rear axle.
Absolutely, yeah.
And now, potentially, we can put another boot in here. So you've got even more of a practical car with another luggage space in the rear. So, but all of this bolts in. You can see now where it bolts in. So that bolts into the engine mounts there, down there, and at the front as well. And it's kind of, you know, it's a zero-touch policy with these cars, because I'm a classic car nut. Be they petrol, diesel, you know, electric, I don't care, I'm a car nut. As long as people are enjoying their classic cars and driving them regularly, That's all I care about. I'm not an evangelist that says they all have to go electric. No. If it means that you're going to enjoy it more and drive it more regularly because it's electric, go for it. To me, it's a little bit like having an old cottage that's got old-fashioned like fireplaces and drafty windows and stuff, and you replace it with modern central heating and modern but period-looking windows, and it still looks and feels like an old cottage, but now it's got modern central heating. It means it's easier to live with and more enjoyable on a day-to-day basis. And that's all we're doing here with these electric conversions and classics. In fact, if you come over here, Jerome, you'll see the bare bones, if you like, of the Testarossa kit, because this kit here, which the guys are now starting on now, so this has come out of fabrication area into the electrical area, is getting prepped up ready for that one that's still got the engine in. So this is the cradle I was talking about.
Yes.
So this is where the motor, so the front of the car is going to be towards you, the motor goes in here, drive shaft's out that way, and that big black battery box sits there. In fact, that's what that is there. So that there, in fact, you can see those mounts there.
Yes.
They'll mount onto there, and then that is the main battery box. And then you've got a front battery box, you've got two more small battery boxes that go where the fuel tanks are, you've got the wiring loom, etc., etc. So, this is kind of a bare bones kit right here, or the start of it. But then we've got to put the batteries in, we've got to powder coat it, and in fact there's one behind you here that's finished. So this, can you guess what this car is? I'm going to give you 3 guesses.
Yeah.
What battery pack is this going to be for?
I have no idea, because the T-shape is quite unusual.
Yeah.
And it's quite bulky too.
It is, yeah.
So is it a rear-powered car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, this is a front engine car.
Yeah.
Rear engine. Rear wheel drive. It's going in an Aston Martin.
Oh.
So this is an Aston Martin front battery pack. The rear is underneath the bench over there.
Okay.
But this is what those other battery packs will look like at the end. So
Okay.
it's all, the batteries are all in there. So it's full. It's all been sealed up and tested, and all the various little mounts for other bits and pieces are already on there. So this is where the charger is going to go, 12-volt batteries in there. There's a control box there by the looks of it. And then all of your high voltage connections are already done. You've got your low voltage, there's the charger there. I don't know what goes on the front. And then you got your low voltage plug somewhere. Oh, there it is. So you got your low voltage Molex plug there. So this is a pack that's finished and ready to go in the car. Just waiting for the car to come back from the paint shop.
Okay.
So, and then there's various other kits here ready to ship out as well. Defender kits, and I don't know what else we got. There's a Defender 130 kit by the looks of it going out. What we got here? Another Defender 110, and I don't know what's in that one. It looks like possibly a mini kit going out. So, but if I take you down the fabrication area, you can see how all this stuff gets made.
Excellent.
Passing the world's fastest Land Rover Defender, Jerome.
Yeah, it's very famous online, so make sure to check out Richard's different videos about this particular mad
This is
Defender.
0 to 60. 0 to 60 is 3.5 seconds. Actually, technically 3.4 seconds. But and that's on these tyres. That's on off-road tyres, Jerome. It is insane.
So you can go off-road and you can go there very quickly.
You can do off-roading very quickly. You can even get to the off-roading very quickly as well. But this is that's an insane vehicle. I love that thing. People have offered me a lot of money for that, and I've said no.
Wow.
Now, I'll tell you off camera how much, but yeah, it's an insane toy, that. So this is the fabrication area. So this is where all the battery boxes, all the motor mounts, any of the metal fabrication is done here, bracketry, etc. We've got a guillotine, folder, another thing here I can't even remember the name of, plasma table over in the corner. So this is where we will create either steel, aluminium, you name it, the battery boxes and all the other bits and pieces. In fact, there's a 911 kit there, just mind your step there.
But before we actually start folding metal and welding, how do you design the system? Is it a cardboard-aided design, or do you use 3D scanning for the engine base? Yeah,
a bit of 3D scanning, a bit of CAD, and a bit of cardboard-aided design as well. It's a bit of mix of new school and old school here. Yeah. The kits, if they're going to do kits, there definitely a bit of 3D scanning and CAD goes into that. If it's a one-off, like the Mercedes 190 SL down there, then the guys will probably start mocking things up around about, hands-on type mocking up, bit of cardboard, figure this out, do a template, and then just go from there. But this is, we normally have, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got 5 kits that we do. Mini, Defender, Porsche 911, Porsche 914, and Fiat 500. Those are the most popular kits we do. And you'll see various different pallets up around the place with jigs on top. That's the Porsche 914 pallet there, where essentially all the stuff the guys need to be able to build a Porsche 914 kit is there.
Okay.
So they'll have templates in there, they'll have a jig for the motor mounts, and they'll take that off and then they'll get on the bench and start. But usually we have 1 or 2 prefabricated ones in stock.
Okay.
So that's what this is here. So this is a 912, 911 box. So that's the front, and then rear. Is that the front? Yeah, that's the front, and that's the rear. And they've got one here. I can see one over there on the plasma table as well. And there's 2 mini kits down there as well. So they'll have a few around the place, and they've got a mini subframe here as well. It looks like they're making another mini subframe kit here. There's 2 front mini boxes down there, and again another 911 kit there, and then a load of looks like a load of Land Rover dashboard parts and stuff. So they're always busy down here. Yeah. Always busy.
As far as workflow, do you tend to try to do series of a couple of systems, or?
Yeah, I mean, with the kit side of things, again, what's your step here? On the kit side of things, it makes sense to do a number at the same time.
Yeah. So
they've done, I would have thought that those 911 kits there, they probably did that in the same time that they blue 9112 was done over there, because we knew this black 911 was coming in, for instance. So, and the kit that goes into a 911, whether or not it's G-body or first generation, is fairly similar. Okay. So they would have got it prepped up. And we also have, I think, 4 911 kits to do for international customers as well. So that's why they're starting on that process there. So yeah, so we got this G-body one to do for quite a famous actress. That's going to be a fun project. And then we've got this, which is my toy. Boys going to have toys, Jerome. He who dies with the most toys wins. That's how life is. So this is my Pikes Peak race car I'm building. So this is Tesla performance drive unit at the moment. We're going to upgrade it to plaid if and when we think it needs it. Okay. Because I'm still on the fence as to whether or not the plaid is going to give us any more time, because the amount of power you can get to the ground is, where it's at really. And I think this will struggle with getting that power to the ground. Anyway, just this. So this presently has a large Tesla drive unit down the bottom there, a front drive unit up front. So this is equivalent of a Tesla P100D, but in a lighter Beetle-shaped body shell. So we've got the front drive unit in there. We've got an iBooster there for brakes, so it's an electric boosted brake system. We've had to move the motor further forward because I was going to drive it, and I'm 5'11", and now we've got a professional driver who's 6'2" to drive it. And he wanted the pedals a little bit further forward, which meant we had to shut everything further forward. But yeah, we've got some massive brakes on it. Check out the wheels. You'll love the wheels. They're nice, aren't they? Yeah. Look at them. So they're the rears. Yeah. We've had them custom made, and then we've got some spares as well, because they will get wrecked. It's a race car after all.
Yeah. So what type of power do you anticipate getting from this?
I want a one-to-one car. Okay. So 1,000 horsepower, 1,000 kilos. So I want a 1 horsepower per kilo car, and I'm going to be using it primarily for time attack, hill climb type stuff. But equally, if I want to go drifting and create some craziness with smoke, I'm going to do it that as well. Anything to have some fun. Yeah. So the system that we're using, the EV Controls T2C, which is down here, you're able to switch the 4-wheel drive to just 2-wheel drive, and then you can run the rear motor and just do some crazy drifting. Switch the traction control off, and do some crazy stuff like that. I've got a power steering system in here as well, which will help with the drifting. And check out the size of these brakes, man. That's a brake caliper. AP Racing Pro 5000R. It's a lovely bit of kit, isn't it? So that's the front caliper. And then the rear calipers we've just upgraded now with some more AP Racing calipers on the rear. So, yeah, this is going to be a monster. I've driven it on the track a little bit so far. Check out our YouTube channel again. There's some episodes on there. Yeah. But we're waiting now for the fiberglass guy to catch up because the wheels and tyres are wider than the original, and we needed to widen them by 2.5 inches each side.
Okay.
So I'm waiting on the fiberglass guy to sort that out, and then we'll go testing again.
So will this be ready on time to go to Colorado?
Oh, who knows? Don't stress me any more than I'm already stressed.
Well, you didn't say which year.
We're going to go for 3 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, because whenever you're going to do something, you know, you want to do it once to practice, twice to, you know, get better, third time lucky. So we're going to go for 3 years, committed to do it for 3 years, and then we'll find something else to do.
Okay.
Paris Dakar or something like that. But this is a monster. Yep. Single seater. I can't remember the size of the battery pack. It's something around about 38 kilowatt hours, which should be enough to get us up to Pikes Peak. But it's using very high C-rated batteries.
Yes.
So that's, you know, they're very power dense, if you like, batteries. And we've got them in 3 packs. So they're power dense, high C rating, but it's in a 3P configuration. So there's 3 of them in parallel to share the load. There's one there, there's one behind here. In fact, if I bring this up, you'll be able to see it a bit better. Just grab the other side there, Jerome, so we can lift it. There you go. So, in here, we've got the Testarossa unit down there, flipped over. So it's flipped on its back down there to get the weight distribution further forward. We've got a couple of header tanks here, one for the battery pack system, one for the motor and inverter. We've got a roof scoop to get the air coming in. And then there's a radiator at the back here for the motor and inverter system. Another radiator up front, which isn't mounted there at the moment, for the batteries. And then, yeah, it's just going to be a case of testing and seeing what works, what doesn't work, what's getting hot too soon, more airflow, bigger radiator, I don't know. It's a journey, this one.
Will you have the opportunity to test drive it on a hill climb in the UK before you head off to the US?
No.
No.
There are hill climbs in the UK, but they're short little sprints. It's like drag racing with bends. Okay. That's our hill climbs. Hill climbs in Europe, in places like Austria and Germany, they're proper hill climbs. Okay. And then the only, you know, that's probably the closest we can get to Pikes Peak. But even then, Pikes Peak is very high.
Higher, yeah.
You know, so you got a lot of air density issues as well, which affects the cooling. So they say cooling, aim for 2, if not 3 times better cooling than you would normally at Pikes Peak because the air is so thin.
So thin, yeah.
So yeah, this is a one of those journey type projects rather than anything else.
So you designed and built this from scratch?
From scratch, yeah. We took a VW Fun Cup chassis as a starter, and then we kind of like, you know, altered it quite a bit to get it to what we wanted. But yeah, if I was going to do it again, I'd probably start from scratch. Instead of using a Fun Cup chassis, I'd probably say, you know what, just do it from scratch. But too late. And to be fair, I did buy this at next to nothing. It was a good deal.
Always a good
and anybody that's into motorsport knows you can't turn up a good deal. So I bought this and I thought, yeah, let's go for it. And I wanted a Beetle shape. So yeah, so watch this space. This is going to be nuts. And I can't take you for a spin in this because it's a single seater.
It's a single seater, yeah. So. But I look forward to seeing it on the track. Did you start working with the suspension, fine-tuning it?
No, the suspension, we are waiting for the suspension to arrive. So this is just temporary shocks and springs, just so we can get it rolling. But we've got a really good suspension specialist that we've used down in South Wales, and the guys down there are sending it hopefully next week. So the springs are Hyperco from the States. Okay. I can't remember where the shocks are coming from. But that's pretty much the last bit that we're waiting for. We've had the power steering sorted out now. The brakes just got sorted out because we had to up the rear brakes. We're waiting for the EPB, which is the electric parking brake calipers to come, because we have to get them machined as well. That's the trouble, but whenever something is completely custom, the time frames really go out and out and out, because we're making everything from scratch. So yeah, even things like the hubs and the original Fun Cup wasn't a four-wheel drive car; it was a two-wheel drive car, the rear. So we've had to figure out how we're going to make it four-wheel drive, how we're going to the original hubs were small 100 4-stud off a Golf Mark 1, and we thought they ain't going to be able to cope with the power. So then we thought, well, what's going to fit in the bearing carriers that's similar? Well, luckily enough, the Audi, what's the big sports Audi? Is it Audi R8? Audi R8 bearings and like stub axle fits in there with a little bit of machining. So we've got them to fit in there. So it's a fun project. Keeps me busy in the evenings and weekends, and I just can't wait to get the bodywork on now and start properly testing it. So and the paint scheme's going to be nuts.
Yeah, well, I'll look forward to seeing it. Yeah,
that's going to be loud. Yeah,
of course
I like
it is.
loud.
How will you be charging this? Do you need to charge every time you go up the hill?
Pikes Peak, yeah. So what the electric car guys do when they go to Pikes Peak, because there's been the VW guys go up there, the Ford Superman went up there. What they tend to do is they get an Arctic, or what do they call them, a semi in America, isn't it, to drop off a container, which is a battery pack container. So it's like having a generator on a building site, but instead of it being a diesel generator, they'll drop off a huge battery pack now that'll last, weeks.
Okay.
And that's what they do at Pikes Peak. So we've got a company that will drop off this massive battery pack, which already has the chargers and everything all built in, and it's just sitting there. And when we come down the mountain, we'll just charge it up.
Okay. So CCS?
No, not CCS. Yeah. No, they don't have CCS. It's either 11 kilowatt or 22 kilowatt.
Okay.
But the chargers are not on the car. So we've got off-board chargers, which we'll take over with us. Okay. All we need is like a 3-phase 32 amp supply, or 63 amp 3-phase, a standard like plug. We'll plug into that, which is what they've got on that pack, and then everything else into the car's ass. So, you coming?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So,
because Out of Spec, a studio, is based in Denver, so very local,
cool.
A couple of hours away. So definitely something to cover when you're there.
Yeah, so that's my project. But yeah, everything else we've got in here as customer stuff, apart from my Land Rover behind it. 356. Again, this is more on the mild side than wild. So it's got a Hyper 9 motor in. Guys are just mocking everything up at the moment. So they're running. This is some of the things we have to deal with. We've got to use the original holes that go through the tunnel to be able to feed the high voltage and low voltage cables through. And then the Hyper 9 motor onto the original gearbox. We've got the charger underneath here. Battery pack is above it. Controller here, and then we've got another battery pack up front. And everything again needs to be bolted into the original infrastructure of the car. But I don't know what to do about these exhaust
holes. I was going to ask
yet.
you exactly, do you cover them? Do you replace them?
I don't know. I might put additional brake lights in there, or
lights, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe like some bubbles coming out. I don't know. Smoke machine. I don't know. I'll think of something.
Oh, lightning. Yeah.
Yeah, something. Yeah, sort of flamethrowers or something. But yeah, so we got this Porsche 356 for a client. He's got a few cars he's going to be throwing us. And weirdly enough, I know you had Mark at Moment Motors on the channel as well. Yeah. He is building another 356 over there for the same customer.
Oh, so, lucky customer.
Yeah, so the customer here, I put him in contact with Mark, and now we're converting 2 356s for the same customer at the same time.
I've never heard of
he's an American
like
guy that lives in Scotland, and he's got a place in California. So,
speaking about California or the US in general, do you have any partners over there?
We've got partners all around the world. So in the States, we've got a number of, like Mark, for instance, at Moment Motors, a really good guy. And we're very particular about who we refer business to and send kits out to, because they need to be, high quality, good customer service, reputable, and, have a good team that we can connect with.
Yeah.
And people like, Kindred Motorworks, for instance, up in north of San Francisco, Mare Island, they're good. Market, Moment Motors, for instance, and there's others out there. So if anybody is interested in getting a car converted with one of our kits, like the Testarossa kit, for instance, contact us through electricclassiccars.com and we'll refer you to the relevant partner that we have in your area.
Okay. How do you ensure the safety of cars? Well, obviously, there's high voltage. Do you not only train your team, but also the customers?
Yeah, so I mean, firstly, in Europe, we have to build to regulations. So there's something called R100 that we have to build to, which is a safety regulation. So all of our cars here are built to R100 regulations, and then we have the VCA, which is your Vehicle Certification Authority in the UK, come and test them and make sure that they are tested and adhere to that R100 reg. But it means that all the kits we ship out are also R100 compliant as well. So that ensures that you've got things like, ground fault detection on there. If there's, we went out for a spin before in one of the cars, and you heard that annoying buzzer when you open the door. That's part of R100. If you left it in gear, things like that as part of the safety sort of thing. So the kits that we build are built to a certain regulation, but then also our partners come over for knowledge sharing, and we can pass on our experience and train them up as to how to work with the cars and do the conversions as well. So, and that's really important, because just shipping out a kit and saying good luck with that, that's not how we work.
How do you see the future of converted to electric cars in the next 5 to maybe 10 years?
I think in the first few years, let's say, when I started getting involved right at the start, 2015, let's say, it was a bit Wild West. It was very much, Heath Robinson, what do you call it, jerry rig in America, isn't it? It was a little bit like, get it done, put a cable there, cable tied up there, that'll work, and it works, fantastic. Things have moved on. Yeah. So what we're seeing now is a transition to more professionalized conversions built to regulations, as I mentioned, like R100, for instance. So in the UK especially, the quality of the kits that are going out are second to none, I think, which is why we've become kind of a hub globally for these conversion kits being sent out to Australia, New Zealand, America, South America, Africa, etc., because the quality of the kits is so good. But it's also the fact that we converted so many cars.
Yeah.
I mean, we've converted here alone 80 cars, which is probably more than most conversion shops in the States put together, I'd say. Okay. So it's a high volume of cars that we've got experience converting, which then reflects on the quality and the evolution, if you like, of the kits that we're sending out and shipping out. Like the Land Rover Defender. In fact, your American customers will love the paint job on these. You see American flag dripped all over it. It's because this is a commission. It's what's it called, a B2B, a business-to-business commission for BFGoodrich. Okay. So this is their marketing vehicle they're going to be using now to promote their tyres. Things like these awesome trail terrain tyres that we use a lot of now on the Land Rover Defenders. 80% on-road, 20% off-road. There's not that same like ooh noise that you get with off-road tyres. Really nice tyres, and that also then means that the range is better because they're less rolling resistance. But it's in Land Rover colour. You see, standard Land Rover mud colour option. So that's what a Land Rover should look like, ladies and gentlemen. All you prima donnas out there with your Chelsea tractors shining them. No, they should have mud on them.
All right. So going back to the future and maybe the past of conversion back in the days, and still to a certain aspect nowadays, people try to repurpose new modules and motors and so on.
Yeah.
And I guess you started maybe this way, repurposing modules.
No, actually, the first conversions we did were using new batteries.
Okay.
Prismatic cells and Thunder Sky ones. They were new.
Okay.
And because don't forget, when we started, there was no second-hand batteries to play with. Yeah. And then the Tesla modules started coming on the market. It's like, wow. The first Tesla module I held in my hands, held in my hands because they're quite a weight, but it was like, wow, this is like NASA technology. But then we moved on from that again since. We've used hardly any second-hand batteries anymore. I think this is probably one of the last ones we've got second-hand batteries in. The Triumph has second-hand Tesla batteries in, but all the rest of the cars in here have new batteries.
Okay.
Although having said that, we do use the Tesla motors because they're awesome. The power you get out of those things is insane, and they're easy to mount in, and the control systems like the EV controls, T2C control system, which is just the best one on the market. We've tried them all. It's just seamlessly giving you the same smooth feel as driving a Tesla, because as far as the motor is concerned, it still thinks it's in a Tesla.
That's fantastic.
We're not trying to fool the motor into here's the control parameters and like take the control board out, put a new one in. No, just send it the signals that it still thinks it's in a Tesla, and it'll be as good as gold. So we do use the Tesla motors, but to be fair, we do strip them completely apart, new bearings, new seals, and just do a complete refurb on those motors before we use them or ship them out for kits.
Looking ahead, what are the potential expansions for the business globally?
For us, we're expanding the workshop that way by 50%, and that way, and mezzanine floor going in, because we need to increase the bandwidth. As I said before, we've got quite a decent waiting list, so I want to get more cars out the door per year. But the main thing that we're going to be expanding the workshop, I say 75% of what we're expanding for is the kits.
Okay.
So we've got a lot of experience converting cars, and we're going to transfer that knowledge into mass producing the kits more.
Okay.
So we're going to be doing more volume of kits and more different types of kits. Okay. As I said before, we've got 5 very well developed kits right now, and then we're going to add, let's say, VW split screen and bay window buses onto that soon, VW Beetle, and other cars that we converted a lot of, but never really developed it enough to actually turn it into a repeatable kit. Because don't forget, the technology moves on so fast as well. Like that blue Beetle there, that's got a HPEV's AC34 motor in. If we're doing that again now, we would probably go with something like Netgain Hyper 9 motor that's in the 356. Or if it's a 400 volt system, we want to go with CCS, which is something we put in a lot. In most of the cars here have got CCS rapid charging in, then we put a 400 volt motor in. So that technology moves on every few years. Yeah. I mean, it was only a few years ago we started using CCS. 2 years ago, I think my Land Rover Defender over there was the first to have the CCS in it, and that was 2 years ago. And now nearly all the cars here, apart from that one there, and the Triumph, all the rest of them have CCS in. So,
do you see you offering 800 volt platforms in the future?
Yes, we've started speccing up a build right now, which is an 800 volt system. Okay. Just because there's so many benefits with 800 volt systems, the cables don't need to be as thick. You can get faster charging with 300 kilowatt charging, for instance. But one technology we're looking at evolving right now is V to L and V to G and V to H, which is vehicle to X, basically. We've got V to L. We've had that in for 18 months. So first V2L system was in a VW camper, not that one there. It was a Synchro four-wheel drive one.
The green one.
Yeah, and it had induction hobs in it and other bits and pieces. So we developed it for that, but we've done 2 vehicles since that have also had V2L. And then that blue Mercedes down there, the 190 SL, that's going to be one of the first where we have V2G.
Okay.
So actually, not V2G, V2H. So this is going to have vehicle to home, because this client here wants to be able to take this off the road in the wintertime, but then use his car as his battery
smart.
Storage for his home.
Yeah. So
this is going to be our first vehicle to home system in this one, which is, I like to push technology further forward. I'm an engineer. I like problems, and I like to solve problems, and I like to come up with new novel ideas. that's what keeps me ticking.
Ticking, yeah. What are the requirements to consider V2L? Say, does the battery pack need to be water cooled?
Oh, there's lots.
There's lots.
I mean, you've got to have safety systems in place, which is making sure that, well, if the V2L system wants to take power out of the battery, well, is it allowed to take power out of the battery? Is there enough battery in there? So you can set, a low level of battery to say, actually, you've taken enough now, I need something to drive the car, sort of thing. But also, for instance, in a camper, a V2L system, you probably want to use it as you're charging up.
Yeah.
So if you're in a campsite, and you've got your electric hookup already, and that electric hookup is also charging up the battery, well, at the same time, you also want to use the 240-volt system AC inside the car.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's fine, but are we safe to do that? So it adds another layer, if not another 2 layers, of safety onto what's already a complicated battery management system that's keeping on top of everything. So it's mainly around about the safety systems that you have to add those layers into when you start going into V2L. And then V2G and V2H is another layer again. Okay. Because then you've got to do frequency synchronization to the grid. You've got to have connection to the grid to make sure that that nobody's working on the power lines down the line. It gets complicated. But that's what we like. We like to have new things to challenge us. So.
How do you keep up with all the new technology as you're developing system already for cars, and then the new technology comes every other week? There's a new tech coming up. Do you have a team in-house? Do you spend your time?
I mean, it's nice that we're doing this at night time because it's so quiet in here, because we've got 13 guys in the team, and a number of them are also tech heads. Okay. So they also, like me, are pretty sad in the evenings. And, they're not going to the pub all the time, and they're like, oh, look at this new technology here, and we'll come and check this out in the morning. And so we're tech heads. We like to keep on top of the technology sort of things. But yeah, it's constantly evolving though. I mean, the battery density is getting better. The new technology chargers, which some of the chargers now, they have the charger, the DC to DC converter built in, which has been around for some time now. But then they've got the V2L and the V2G sort of technology already going in there as well. And now they're starting to get also the CCS control modules, also part of the charger as well. Like all this evolving all the time. So, and that's why we've not developed a kit for the bus. So that bus behind you now, although we've done quite a few of these, every time we get one in, we think, oh, let's not do it the same as we did it last time, because technology's moved on. But at some point, you've got to draw a line in the sand and say, you know what, we're going to design a kit for it this time. Okay. So, that's what we're going to do with split screen and bay window buses this time around. It's just like, just draw a line and say, that's what we're going to have for the next few years.
Speaking about drawing the line, I know you modify vehicle up to the mid-80s, pretty much.
Yeah, it's just a personal preference, Jerome. I lose interest when plastic was invented on dashboards. A dashboard that's there just for the sole reason to kill you. Okay. That's what I like. So as soon as there was airbags and plastic and I don't know what happened to car design in the mid-80s. It just got lazy and rubbish, I think. I think what it was, they found aerodynamics. Yes. And they realised, actually, this isn't good for aerodynamics. But look at it, it's beautiful. Somebody should have said, aerodynamics, great, but go away. Stylists come back in.
Well, to be fair, the guys at Land Rover, they kept on the shape of the Defender up until 17.
Within earshot of this garden shed. Yeah, so you got me there. But no, we convert cars up to the mid-80s purely because, those are the cars I'm passionate about. But, Land Rover Defenders are pretty much the same technology from the 1970s and them. So we do 2010 Land Rover Defenders and stuff. And it's nothing about, people think, oh, is it because airbags, traction control, ABS? No. It's nothing to do with that. It's just I don't have any passion for modern cars. Yeah. I say modern, 1980s is quite old now. Yeah. But, I mean, the Testarossas are late 80s, I think. Yeah. What is the newest thing in here? It's probably this Defender, isn't it? Yeah, this Defender. So, just personal preference, Joe. I mean, I have no interest whatsoever in modern cars. My daily drivers are all classics, you see. And I wouldn't be able to drive my daily drivers my classic cars as daily drivers if they were petrol.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because you get the reliability from the electric drivetrain. You get the power to keep up with modern traffic. And, you know, I haven't touched my VW crew cab in at least 5 years. You just get in, switch it on, and off you go. And you enjoy driving either on holiday or to work or whatever. And you don't have to worry about what's that noise, what's that rattle wasn't there yesterday. What's that vibration? What's going on there? Why isn't it starting this morning? Oh, when's it going to warm up? When's the heating going to come on? None of that. Switch it on,
works,
heater comes on, off you go, and then you enjoy the car. You enjoy the journey more in an electric classic than a petrol one. And I'm saying that as a massive, huge petrol head, you know, or previous petrol head. I'm not
Electron head.
I'm not being facetious when I say that. You know, people say, "Oh, you've just been an evangelist." No, no, no. I've driven classic cars all my life, most of them as daily drivers, and I can tell you now, my blood pressure is a lot lower driving an electric classic because I enjoy the journey more. I'm less stressed about whether or not that rattle that is now turned into a bit of a vibration is going to get me home.
All right.
Yeah. So I got my classics, my VW crew cab, my Land Rover Defender, and my VW Beetle, and my dailies. I don't have a modern car.
Okay. So guys, stress relief, driving an electric car is the best one. Maybe the social security should pay for the conversion of your classic car.
I don't need any more, like, you know, stress or, like, you know, high blood pressure. I'm hyper enough. Don't give me chocolate, don't give me caffeine, and certainly don't give me cigarettes, because, you know, I just are hyper enough. So things that calm me down, like driving my electric classics, are good.
All right. Richard, thank you so much for having us for the full tour.
That's right.
And again, you guys, if you want to learn more, just visit their website and also their YouTube channel.
Yeah, electricclassiccars.com for the website and our YouTube channel. There's loads of episodes on there of all sorts of vehicles, from Land Rovers to a full build series on the Ferrari Testarossa and everything in between.
All right, bye-bye.
See ya.